got to work one shift at Hollister until they called me on the phone and they said, hey, you know, they need Black Friday people at Abercrombie. It's from like 1 to 4 a.m. They really need someone, so would you be willing to do it? And I was like, well, it's like my manager calling me, right? So I'm scared to say no, but I don't really know because that's late, right? I'm like, I don't know. She's like, oh great, we'll put you down. Just call us if you don't want to do it. And I'm like, okay. I'm too scared to call and say that I do not want that shift because I've only worked one shift. What if she's like, this bitch doesn't even want to work, like all this? I was like, fuck, like I gotta go to this midnight fucking shift, right? At Abercrombie, which is like, it's not in my city. It's like a 10-15 minute drive, so it's not in our mall. So I've never been there. I don't even know how shit works at Hollister, and they want me to go to Abercrombie, like, dog. Whew. But you know, I'm like, okay, you know, I'm not no bitch. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna work, and everything will be fine. Everything was not fine. So I did not go to sleep that night at all, because what would be the point? You know, I stayed up till 12, and it's like, okay, it's like 12:30. Okay, mom, bye. Like, I'm gonna head out now. The thing was, I've never gone out Black Friday shopping, ever, even to this point. Like, I've never done that. So I did not know that the outlets, that they would be open at this time. I thought that I was gonna go in from 1 to 4 and unbox some stuff, you know, with the workers over there, place some stuff around, organize some shit, display some shit. Nothing would have prepared me for driving into that lot and seeing that every single parking spot was full. The lines are just, oh my god, it's insane. People cutting off, people like honking, people just, my mistake was that I was told to pick up a parking permit from Hollister. No one reminded me, so I forgot. I forgot to pick up that parking permit. And so I show up and I do not have that parking permit. So first of all, I'm not even sure where to go, because I'm like, there has to be an employee parking somewhere, right? So I'm like, I don't know where to go because I can't, there's no signs, no employee parking signs. So I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna find a regular parking spot. Driving around, maybe I've driven around for 15 or 20 minutes. It's the most aggravating shit ever. People are just swerving and cutting you off, and people, like pedestrians, are walking right in front of you, not giving a fuck that you're there, and you have to brake abruptly, and then there's cars behind you that honk at you. It was a mess, and I had no sleep because, you know, I didn't go to sleep, right? So I'm not only sleep deprived, but these people are pissing me off. These drivers who are trying to get in on those Black Friday sales. I'm like, hey, if you guys could just let me park so I could go help you get those Black Friday sales, that'd be great. But, you know, no one gives a fuck. So maybe about 25 minutes after just driving around looking for a spot, that's it, just looking for a parking spot. There is not one that's open in this big ass lot, not one open parking spot. I get a call from this guy who goes to my school and who also works at Hollister with me. So he calls me and he's like, hey, the manager wants to talk to you. I'm like, whew, shit, okay. So he puts her on the phone. She's like, hey, are you coming? I'm like, yeah, you know, I've just been looking for a parking spot for the last like 30 minutes. She's like, oh, just come to the employee parking. And I'm like, I don't know where that is. So she's like, oh, it's by like Tommy Hilfiger or whatever the hell. So I'm like, okay, I'll go there. And I go there. And there's supposed to be a police officer or a guard or someone. They're supposed to be controlling the traffic flow, allowing employees in, and only employees in. I'm not sure what the officers were doing, or whoever it is, the security. They parked their cars to block the entrance, and they were gone. They were not in the car, they were not around the car, they were nowhere to be found. So I can't get into the entrance, and there's no one there to let me in either. And every single employee entrance is like that. Every single employee parking entrance is blocked by officers or blocked by a gate or something, and there's no one there to open it for me. I call the manager, right? And I'm like telling her the situation, that there's no one here to open this for me. She's like, oh, that's really weird. So basically she's like having me drive around and try to find other employee entrances, but obviously there are none. So she's like, okay, I'm gonna text you another way around it. Basically she kind of is like texting me the directions, but I don't have data, so it's arriving very slowly. I pull out of the shopping center and I pull into this, it was like this abandoned something, I don't know, it was just a parking lot that was empty a couple minutes down the road. I park and I open the door and I just start sobbing because I'm sleep deprived and I'm hungry, and I've been driving around at this point for an hour or over an hour perhaps with no luck at finding a parking space. The amount of times I've almost hit pedestrians because they've just jumped in front of my car, the amount of times I've been honked at, the amount of times I've cut people off, the amount of times people have cut me off, the amount of times I've just had a parking spot and just had it been stolen by someone just zipping right in front of me. It was just so frustrating. So I opened and I'm just like sobbing. I sobbed for maybe like a good 1 or 2 minutes. And then I closed my door, I took a sip of water, and I was ready to go. She called me, she's like, hey, are you on your way, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah. And I'm not sure, maybe she could tell my voice or something, but she was like, hey, you know, you don't have to come if you don't want to. I was determined. I had just done my cry and everything, and I was determined. I was going to get there one way or another. So I was like, no, I'm coming. She's like, okay. The route that she gave me was a long-ass way around. I don't know how she found this, and I don't know what. Like, I don't even know how it worked, but it was like a good 10 minutes, 15 minutes out, like going this shady-ass, narrow-ass road and doing some kind of turn. I don't know how she figured that shit out. But I followed what she said, and eventually I got there. And it was this entrance that I'd never even seen before. And thankfully there was like 2 security guards there, and they just looked very mean. So I pull up, and they're like, do you have a parking pass? And I'm like, no, I have my associate card. And they're like, what? I have my associate card. You know when they're like hella scary? I'm like, I have my associate card. And I show that to them, and they're like, no, that's not good enough. Blah, blah, blah. You need a parking pass. Sorry, bye. So I call the manager, not my manager, but it's the Abercrombie manager. And I'm like, they're not letting me in because I don't have my parking pass. I'm like, can you talk to them? She's like, yeah, sure. So I'm like, hey, my manager wants to talk to you. And she's like, she doesn't even work for us. She works at Hollister. She's just temporarily here. Like, you need to let her in, blah, blah. I don't know why he's scared of her and not of me. Maybe I just look scared. I don't know. But eventually he's like, oh, shit, okay. So I get let in. At this point, I think it's like 2:30. So I'm like late as hell for my shift. And it's not even my fault. So I don't know where I'm going. So I'm just kind of driving down the employee parking. Like, it's empty as hell. Like, if I had been let into here sooner, I would have had a parking space quick as hell. But I'm just driving, trying to find the entrance, and then I find it eventually. I park, and I'm just so exhausted. But I go in. There were so many people. I got put into the employee entrance. There was just so many people. I think it was a manager was there, and just a bunch of employees and everything. And she was like, oh, I'm glad you're finally here and everything. They said that something was wrong with their system, so it wasn't letting us Hollister employees even clock in. So we just had to, like, write our names down and just like hope that they were gonna put us in the system. The manager told me, okay, just go to this place, and then she like gave me 2 names. She was like, oh, Michaela and Janika or whoever the fuck are like over there. And I'm like, who? I don't know who that is. Like, I'm like, I said, what do they look like? And she's like, they work at Hollister. I'm like, oh, I forgot what I said. I think I said like I'm a closer or some shit. Like, I don't even know what I said. But then some other worker at Abercrombie, she's like, oh my god, Hollister's probably so much more organized than us, blah, blah, blah. And so I went in, they thinking I'm like, oh, I'm a closer, I don't know them because they're openers. Nah, bitch, I've only had 1 day at Hollister. I don't know those people because I've never met those people. Eventually I find them though, and god, it was a mess. There is a table with hoodies and sweats and like some other shit. The hoodies and the sweats, I just said there's a table with them. I lied. There's not a table with them. There is a floor with them. The table was pretty much empty. You have stacks of clothes on the floor. People are stepping on them. It's a mess. I've never seen so many people so tightly cramped up in one area. The door is not even closing. Like, it's just staying open because people are coming in and people are like going out, right? At the same time. Like, there's no closing in that door. And the sensors are not stopping. They're just going off. People are just stealing left and right. Like, no one even cares because what are we supposed to do? So it's a mess. And me and the other 2 girls who were apparently at Hollister, we started folding shit and trying to make it look better, right? But when we do one table of the sweats and jeans, or the sweats and hoodies, and we turn around to fix the winter coats, you turn around and the hoodies and sweats are on the ground again. And that's the way it was for the next 2 hours. And then all the people who were 1 to 4 like me started to leave. And then the manager was like, hey, just because you came in late, do you want to stay till like 6 or some shit? I was like, sure, more hours, you know. And then also I think it was like time and a half or maybe double time. I'm not sure. I mean, it's fucking midnight for Black Friday, right? Like, you're getting paid a little more than you usually would. So I'm like, why not? Eventually slowed down, maybe maybe it slowed down at like 5 in the morning. But for the most part, I wasn't even there, like 3 or 2:30 to like 4 or 5 was still madness. eventually I felt like I wasn't even there. Like, I'm just folding this shelf or whatever I was folding, I don't know. And I just felt like these hands aren't even mine. Like, not, I was sleep deprived, I was tired, I was aggravated, I was hungry and thirsty. And I was in this ugly ass fit because I showed up in sweats and like, I don't even know, like this ugly ass top because hey, I didn't know we were gonna be working. I thought I was gonna be undoing boxes and shit. No one told me that I was gonna be having to deal with customers. Yeah, but it was insane. Working Black Friday as a retail associate is probably one of the most stressful experiences of one retail employee's life. And I'm pretty sure all my retail employees, if you work at Walmart or Best Buy or fucking any retail shop that's open on Black Friday, I'm pretty sure you can relate. I'm pretty sure y'all have had crazier stories. Us Hollister employees couldn't even do the register because we weren't clocked in. I mean, it's not like I was gonna. I've never done the register before because I literally had worked one day at Hollister and that was not on register. I think I was just like folding jeans the whole day. Or the whole 4 hours. Because let me mention, Hollister, I think it's just in California. I'm not sure about anywhere else. But minors only get 4 hours and they are like on your ass to clock out before your 4th hour because they're like, the company gets fined. I don't think so. At Subway, they have me out here working 9 hours. I don't think the government really cares if you're like overworking children or anything. They pretend to care, but if they really cared, I'd be working at Subway and I'd be like, is the government gonna bust in right now and say like, why is a 15-year-old working 9 hours a day? Like, no one ever came in because no one gives a fuck. But so yeah, after I lost my ID card, my associate card, so like after I'm already clocked out, I'm like here like panicking, looking for my card. I've looked every inch of the store, cannot find it. I'm like asking everyone, hey, have you seen my card? Have you seen my card? No one's seen it, can't find it. Looked every single square inch, repeated my steps, could not find it. So eventually I just went home without my ID card. And then on the drive home, at this point it was probably like 7. I'm at the wheel and I'm falling asleep. Every blink, shit, like I fall asleep, right? It was dangerous shit ever. Thankfully the drive wasn't too long, but from the outlet city to Mine City, very mountainous, a lot of swerves, a lot of curves. So the amount of times I could have died are plentiful. But you know, that's just how it is working Black Friday as a retail associate. That was my crazy story. If y'all have any crazy stories, share them down below. Hope you guys have a great day. Bye. And I'm thinking this is